The old house loomed, casting long shadows over the landscape. It stood on the hill, a silent sentinel watching over the town. Fog swirled around its decaying grandeur, giving it an almost ethereal quality. Blackwood Manor, a name whispered in the town below, spoken in hushed tones and fearful glances. A place of dark secrets, where the past lingered like a ghostly presence. This was the new home of the Williams family, who had moved here seeking a fresh start.
This is just an old house. It needs some love and care to bring it back to life.
Jack Williams, the father, was a man of science, always seeking logical explanations. He scoffed at ghost stories, dismissing them as mere superstitions. His wife, Sarah, was more apprehensive, sensing an unsettling presence. She felt a shiver run down her spine as they drove through the imposing gates, the iron creaking ominously.
I have a bad feeling about this place. It feels like it's hiding something.
10-year-old Emma was excited. A new adventure awaited her in every corner of the mansion. She pictured secret passages and hidden treasures, her imagination running wild. Her teenage brother, Lucas, remained unconvinced, his skepticism evident in his every glance.
Can you imagine all the secrets this house holds? The history it must have seen?
This place is creepy. I just know it. There's something not right here.
The family car crunched on the gravel, the sound echoing in the stillness. They stopped before the imposing oak doors, which seemed to guard the secrets within. Silence enveloped them. Then, a gust of wind rattled the windows as if the house itself was breathing. A welcoming committee? Or a warning? The Williams family was about to find out. The first few days were consumed with unpacking. Boxes were everywhere, and the family worked tirelessly to make the old house feel like home. Each item they unpacked seemed to have a story, a memory attached to it. The house was full of shadows. The dim light from the old fixtures cast eerie shapes on the walls, making the house feel alive in a way that was unsettling. Dust lay thick on antique furniture. It was as if the house had been waiting untouched for their arrival. The air was heavy with the scent of age and neglect. Each room echoed with a strange emptiness. Emma explored with glee, her laughter bouncing off the walls, bringing a semblance of life to the otherwise silent house. Lucas stayed glued to his phone, oblivious to the world around him. The digital glow from his screen was a stark contrast to the dim, shadowy surroundings. Sarah started to notice things, little details that seemed off. A creak here, a whisper there. It was as if the house was trying to communicate with her.
Cold spots. They would appear suddenly, chilling her to the bone, even when the rest of the house was warm. A feeling of being watched. It was an unsettling sensation, as if unseen eyes were following her every move. And a faint scent of lavender, even though there are no flowers. The fragrance would come and go, lingering just long enough to be noticed.
Drafts. Old houses creak. It's all in your head. Jack tried to reassure her, but his words did little to ease her growing unease.
One evening the lights flickered. It was just a brief moment, but it was enough to send a shiver down Sarah's spine. Then they went out completely. The house was plunged into darkness, and the silence that followed was deafening. The house plunged into darkness. It felt as if the very walls were closing in, the darkness pressing down on them.
Damn it! Where's my phone's flashlight? Jack's voice was tense, a mix of frustration and fear.
Emma giggled nervously. The sound was out of place, a stark contrast to the tension in the room. Jack went to check the fuse box, muttering about old wiring. His footsteps echoed in the silent house, each step amplifying the eerie atmosphere. Later that night, Sarah woke with a start. Her heart was pounding and she could feel the cold sweat on her forehead, a whisper. Someone was calling her name. She lay there, listening. Silence. The room was still, but the feeling of being watched was overwhelming.
Jack. I heard a whisper. Someone was calling my name. Her voice was barely a whisper, filled with fear.
It's just stress in the move, Sarah. Jack tried to comfort her, but his words felt hollow.
But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling. The unease was growing, and she felt as if the house was trying to tell her something. Something was wrong in Blackwood Manor. The house held secrets, and Sarah was determined to uncover them, no matter the cost. Days turned into weeks. The strange occurrences continued, growing more frequent and unsettling with each passing day. Doors slammed shut on their own, often with a force that seemed impossible for a mere draught. Footsteps echoed in the hallway at night, a rhythmic pattern that sent chills down their spines. Emma swore she saw a shadowy figure disappear into a room, its form barely distinguishable in the dim light. Lucas, despite himself, started to feel uneasy. He couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched.
I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes. A shadowy figure, it just vanished into that room. It was like nothing I've ever seen before.
One afternoon, Sarah was dusting a grand piano in the music room, trying to keep herself busy and distracted. Suddenly, the keys began to play. A haunting melody filled the room, each note echoing eerily. She spun around, heart pounding. No one was there. The music stopped abruptly, leaving an unsettling silence. Silence hung heavy in the air, as if the room itself was holding its breath.
Who's there? Show yourself.
That night, Jack heard it too. The sound that had been haunting their nights, a child's laughter echoing from the attic. It was both innocent and deeply disturbing. He couldn't ignore it any longer. The fear was becoming too real to dismiss. He went to investigate, his skepticism wavering with each creak of the stairs. The attic was dusty and filled with cobwebs. He found nothing but old furniture and forgotten memories. But the laughter lingered in his ears, a haunting reminder of the unseen presence.
I heard it, Sarah. A child's laughter. It was so clear, so real. We can't ignore this anymore. We need to find out what's happening.
The family gathered in the kitchen. Fear hung between them, unspoken but palpable. Even Jack had to admit something was happening. But what and why? They decided to investigate, to uncover the truth behind the eerie events. To uncover the secrets of Blackwood Manor, they would need to confront their fears and face the unknown. Section 4, The Shadows Stir, Paranormal Activity Intensifies. The strange events escalated, objects moved on their own, pictures fell from the walls.
One night I woke up screaming. A cold hand had brushed my cheek. I refused to sleep alone after that.
Lucas, trying to be brave, started researching the history of the house. He stumbled upon local legends, whispers of a tragedy, a family that had lived and died within these walls.
I kept my findings to myself. I didn't want to scare my family further.
One evening, Jack was working in his study. The room grew icy cold. The air crackled with energy. He turned to see a figure materialize before him. A man dressed in old-fashioned clothes, his face pale and gaunt. Jack watched, frozen in fear, as the apparition vanished into thin air. He could deny it no longer. Blackwood Manor was haunted. Section 5. Unmasking the Past. Edward Blackwood and the Secrets of the Manor. Driven by fear and a growing sense of urgency, the family delved into the history of Blackwood Manor. They discovered that the house was built in the late 1800s by a wealthy businessman named Edward Blackwood. He was known for his ruthlessness and his obsession with the occult. Local rumors whispered of dark rituals performed within the manor walls. They spoke of Edward Blackwood's descent into madness after the untimely death of his wife and child. He was said to have vanished without a trace, leaving behind a legacy of sorrow and malevolence. As the Williams family pieced together the fragments of the past, they realized that the haunting they were experiencing was deeply intertwined with Edward Blackwood's tormented soul. The cold spots, the whispers, the apparitions, they were all manifestations of his lingering presence. Section 6. The Cleansing Ritual. A desperate attempt and a chilling encounter. Desperate to rid their home of the malevolent spirit, the Williams family sought the help of a paranormal investigator. Together, they planned a cleansing ritual, hoping to appease Edward Blackwood's restless soul and bring peace to the manor. On a night when the air hung heavy with anticipation and dread, they gathered in the grand hall. Candles flickered, casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. The air grew thick with incense as the investigator began to chant ancient words of banishment.
Suddenly the temperature plummeted. The candles sputtered and died, plunging the room into darkness. A cold wind whipped through the hall, extinguishing the last vestiges of light.
And then they heard it. A blood-curdling scream that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Section 7. Flight from Blackwood. A hasty retreat and a haunting reminder. Panic seized the Williams family. They stumbled blindly through the darkness, their hearts pounding in their chests.
As we fumbled for the front door, we felt an icy breath on our necks, a chilling reminder that we were not alone.
They piled into their car, desperate to escape the confines of Blackwood Manor. As Jack sped away, tires spitting gravel, they could see a figure standing on the front steps, a solitary silhouette framed against the eerie glow of the moon.
We never returned to Blackwood Manor. We left behind the horrors we had experienced, but the memories continued to haunt us.
And in the quiet of the night, when the wind howled and the shadows danced, they couldn't shake the feeling that a part of Blackwood Manor and its tortured past had followed them home.